Hey, what's up everyone? Danny and Alex. In this tutorial, let's look at the close guard position. So first, we're going to look at how to establish the close guard as well as submissions. So check it out. All right, so establishing the close guard position, sometimes when we're just rolling in the gym or training with a training partner, a lot of times we're going to be starting from this position here, right? So if the gym is crowded, we won't start from the feet. We'll start from either a seated or a kneeling position, right? This is more like a neutral position. So if you want to just get the close guard from here, it's important to establish grips, okay? So right here as such. And you don't want to stay on your knees, of course, because I want to be able to lock my legs around his waist. When we talk about the close guard, it's for me to be able to be on the bottom, but also establish a position where I can defend against his attacks. That's the guard, as well as impose an offensive strategy such as submissions, as well as sweeps from that position as well, right? So for example, if I was here and I wanted to go into the close guard, I don't want to just be stepping with one foot in the middle here and then pulling to my back, and this person's actually going to get the side control. So like this. Right? This is no good for me. So what I want to do to prevent this is to open up one of my legs and have these grips where when I step, I'll take a big step on the outside of his knee. All right, so that way there when I pull him in, he's going to be landing in between my legs. And my back foot is just going to windshield wiper as such. See, I'm just going to spin onto my knee, one, have a seat, and then lock my guard around him. So once again, get your grips, make a nice step outside his leg, stay solid here, and sometimes you'll get closer, so your knee might even also get in between as such, almost in a butterfly guard position, no problem. Get here, swivel out, and lock your guard. Now once I've established a close guard position, I'm in a perfect position to start my attacks. The first one is the collar choke, right? This is a great technique when a person has his hands on the mat as such. You just got into this guard position and now the neck is exposed. So what you want to do from here is just open up the collar. Now the most common mistake I see a lot of times when beginners try to collar choke is they go too fast, right? Meaning they'll put two hands right to the collar here and stop right midpoint. And now from here they try to put a lot of squeeze here, insist on trying to flare in the elbows out, which is totally wrong. So the proper way of doing a collar choke is taking your time, opening up a nice gap here on his jacket and putting your fingers inside. Don't confuse this choke with this one here. We're gonna go palm up, bring it behind his ear line. All right, now you wanna do the same thing with the opposite hand. You're gonna cross it underneath that arm and go underneath here, his jacket, with both palms up. All right, so where do you know where to stop? Your thumb should almost be touching together behind his neck. All right, so that first grip here, far enough. Second one here, far enough. And look, I'll put the squeeze on, and now it's important not to bring your elbows out. Try to bring your elbows to your own body, which will also pull his head into your chest, and that's gonna create the pressure for the collar choke. All right, so from here, 1 and 2. Now the second attack we're going to look at is a basic Kimura Lock, all right? This one is one of those submissions you're going to be using from almost every position in Jiu-Jitsu, all right? You're going to be using this to attack the shoulder as well as controlling later on. But the basics from the close guard position is this, right? So if we turn a little bit to the side here, and I want to attack this arm because it's on the mat. Notice how my elbow is bent. This is not a good control right here. So a lot of times what you want to do is always make sure that his hands are either at your waist or midpoint with the rib cage. If it's too high on your armpit, this wouldn't be the good attack to attack the Kimura, for example. All right, so if it's a little bit higher here, what you want to do is just grab the wrist and push his hand, slide it down to your hip. See, I just drive his hip down. Another option sometimes, if they're too strong and they're putting a lot of weight here, now you won't be able to push his arm down, but that's perfect because they're posting onto this hand. Now you'll push yourself away as such, okay? So now look, I've established a good angle to attack this Kimura. What I want to do is lean onto my elbow. If I try to lean onto my elbow like this, like in the wrong way, look, it's very difficult for me to sit up. So what I want to do is always extend myself, or if his hand is a little bit higher up, maybe push his hand down, okay? Now once I'm here, look, when I have a seat, I'll uncross my legs, keep pinching on his waist, and I'll drive my hand over his shoulder, not underneath, over the shoulder, as if I were to try to grab something behind him. All right, I'm trying to reach for something. And now look, I have a good angle to lean onto my elbow, and this arm is gonna circle its way through underneath his arm. I go over and around the tricep. Now I can latch onto my own wrist. Now it's important to keep this tight. I wanna keep the elbow, the tricep tight against my chest, because this guy's gonna be fighting. If I only use my body weight beside him and only use the arm strength, this is gonna be hard against a strong person. So the idea is to keep the arm tugged against your body like this. Now you use your shoulders, your chest, and your hips, because to finish the Kimura, what I wanna do is turn my chest into him and swivel my hips away from him. As such, I'm gonna go 1, and now from here I can relock my legs here around his waist, and look, slowly drive the hand behind his back. So once again, make sure not to try to attack the Kimura if you have this type of arm bend, right? If your arm is in this angle, this is not good. So I either want to try to push his arm down or stretch myself away, all right? Either one is good. Now from here, now I have a good leverage. If he tries to resist and fight this, I'm in a much better position to control his arm. Now I'll uncross my legs. Look, reach over the shoulder, and you can also sway your hips to the side. Notice how when I sit up, as I extend his arm out, I sit up, but I also move my hips away, so that way there, I don't bump into his chest. So I sit up sideways, and I shrink my hips. Now circle the arm as high as possible, and now I'll reach for my own wrist here. And now as I lean into him, all of the body weight now is supported onto my chest. All of the body weight is here, so I'm controlling his arm, but his weight is still on my body. So I need to take his weight away from me by moving myself away and around his waistline and finish the lock. All right, another very beginner-friendly submission hold is going to be the arm bar. All right, so what I want to do here is grab control of his wrist and use this arm here and just cup at the elbow. So the idea here is not to keep the elbow where your lap is, because now you won't be able to pass your leg. So if I can cup his elbow and bring it more into the middle, I tug onto his elbow to break that center point. All right, now I can free my leg and post it onto his hip. All right, if I don't do this and I just try to bring my leg up, his elbow's in the way. All right, so it's very important to control the arm, break the angle, and then you can get to here. Now I use this leg because it's gonna serve two purposes. Number one, it's gonna help me turn because I can use my foot and post onto my opponent. And the second thing is also keeping my knee nice and snug against his arm. All right, so that way there when he tries to escape and bring his elbow back to where it was, my lap is blocking him. Okay, your legs are very strong. Don't underestimate always using your legs. It's a very powerful way to control the limbs. Okay, so from here, look, you were cupping the elbow here and you close the door right here. Now, you use the other leg, stretch it up towards the ceiling and pivot. See, I pivot here. And now that'll make it very easy for me to push and pass my leg through, and now I can have the armbar position. But look, it's very important. A very common mistake here is that people don't bring the other leg onto the back high enough, all right? So as an example, everything goes well to here, but look at this foot right here. Some people try to turn and they keep this foot right at the hip line. Look, if I turn, I keep my leg low here, it's hard for me to get a good angle to be able to pass this leg through. See, I don't have the quite correct angle. So look, I'll bring this leg high up, almost like I want to knee him in the armpit. Okay, now once it's here, now it goes here, and it goes almost on the upper back, almost where his head is. Now I've sandwiched my opponent nice and tight, and from here it's easy to pass the leg and finalize the armbar. Okay, so the next one we're gonna cover is the triangle choke, all right? The very basic submission attack, but also a very powerful one. So this one here, instead of using your hands to choke the opponent's neck, we're gonna be using our legs. All right, so let's look at the ingredients of a good triangle choke, all right? So first things first, you should always be busy, right? So collar chokes, I had the hand in the collar. Arm bars, I was controlling the elbow. Kimura, I was trapping his wrist. In this case, the triangle choke, I could do it both ways. Number one would be controlling the wrist, boom, and then bringing my legs over to have one arm in, one arm out, okay? And another way is just setting up with a collar grip here, all right, to break and always tugging on that posture. Now, when you're here and you tug on this side, if you're controlling this, more than likely the opponent's not going to be doing much on this side, but his hand is free on this side. So his left arm, sometimes they'll make a huge beginner mistake, is try to pry open the legs by scooting the hand inside your lap as such. When it goes to here, look, what I like to do is this. Look, I reclose the guard on top of his forearm as such. I trap his arm inside my guard. And now I'll post my leg up onto the hip, and look, I'll just bring my knee higher up, and I turn the angle just like the armbar position. See, if you think about the armbar position, it's the same thing, except that instead of passing the leg over the head, I'll just stop right over his shoulder here, and look, from here, I'll be able to finalize the triangle choke. So once again, maybe you're attacking the collar choke here, you're not getting that. Maybe you're controlling here at the sleeve, and you feel the opponent's trying to pry open your legs by scooting his hand inside. This is a rookie mistake, but it happens a lot. So look, I like to simply open and reclose right around his arm. Okay, now I can post on his hip, and look, usually when we did an armbar like earlier, the leg was underneath his arm, and now you were able to turn the corner and look, bring your leg around his back as such. So notice how I point my heel towards my opposite knee. Now with the triangle, if you think about the same thing, it's going to help you finalize where you go here, and look, you point your ankle to the opposite knee. Now you only have one arm in the equation, which does the triangle choke, and look, it makes it very easy to just simply pass this knee over your ankle here, and from there, look, you can tug onto the head, control your knee, and you also want to squeeze your knees in at the same time to finalize the triangle. All right, so another variation here, sometimes they're trying to control your hip and the elbow is inside. All right, so what you want to do here, look, as you post here, you just bring your knee across your chest, see? As you bring your leg here to your chest, look, it makes it very easy to pass it over like this, okay? And now from here, you can just push the arm through, grab your own ankle, and finalize your triangle once again from here. All right, guys, there you have it, some beginner-friendly submission techniques from the close guard position. Hope you enjoyed this content. Leave us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you
in the next video.
Take care.